It is a lovely good morning. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Platform Radio program. I'm your host. My name is Maidon Kilalo. And this morning, I'm playing host to Mr. Ngande Mwanajiti. He is a human rights champion and democracy specialist. Sir, we are grateful to have you on the program.
I thank you very much. I'm happy that I'm on the program.
Great. All right, this morning, we are looking at Zambia's integrity beyond the 2026 elections. We shall be looking at some of the events that has characterized social, political, and economic activities. And what does democracy look like beyond the August 2026 general elections? What happens after the ballots are cast? What defines nation's integrity in the years beyond elections? And what does democracy truly look like beyond August 2026? In all these, we unpack the issues shaping our nation today and defining Zambia's future. Your expertise and insights will help shed more light on this very important topic. Later, we'll be able to engage our listeners to participate on the program by calling us on 0977 165 743 and 0953 323 738. On the other hand, we should be able to receive your WhatsApp voice notes on the same number, 0977 165 743. We are also live on Prime Television Zambia, as well as all our socials, that is Joyfm Zambia and Prime Television Zambia Facebook pages. Of course, the name Mwananjiti is a name that you wouldn't want to doubt when it comes to issues of governance. And personally, I've hosted you a couple of times, maybe just maybe, for some of our listeners and viewers who may be hearing this name for the first time, and they hear you describing yourself as a human rights champion and democracy specialist. What does that entail? And just give us a brief background of some of the activities you've been engaged into.
Firstly, I think I thank you for your question. I really thank you for your question because people have asked me, why do I call myself a human rights champion as opposed to a human rights defender or an activist?
Sure.
An activist, then a defender, then a champion. Basically, I'm not as active as I used to be.
Okay.
When I was active, I would have been rightfully referred to as a human rights activist. I did that. I did my part. Now you have others doing it. So I have basically gone through the race and have passed on the baton, as it were.
Great.
Therefore, I look and see what they are doing. Yes, please.
All right. Probably let's try and just give us a brief background of some of the activities that you've been engaged with in as far as human rights is concerned in Zambia.
Maybe before you do that, let's answer the question you asked.
Yes, please.
What is Ngande Mwanajit?
Yes, please.
Basically, I'm a Zambian.
Yes.
I'm a Zambian who has been around. I think I segment my being around in clearly 4 parts. During my university times, some time back, and my post-university times when I was working first as a regional director, or regional coordinator rather, for a scholarship program, which basically was supporting the liberation movement. And that is what sparked my interest in justice, fairness, and equity. Because I saw the extent to which other people, did not live a normal life. And I said to myself, I think it is important that every human being aspires to what God's purpose needs him to be or her to be. So that's how I basically oriented my engagement. And having done a bit in the international community, I worked in the region, in Southern African region. I worked internationally, and I engaged at various platforms, dealing with focus on issues of governance, issues of human rights, issues of unfairness. So in terms of deliverables, one of the things I said, and we said, is that in the event, and it happened, that there is a change in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Angola, wherever it is, we must have sufficient human resource. So one of the things I did was to manage a huge scholarship program, okay, which was supported by many countries, over 14 countries, who supported by essentially the Scandinavian countries. We pushed, and when that was done, my biggest achievement was the freeing of South Africa. The first one was Namibia. I wished the entire independence celebrations, that was just something else. Then I understood the extent to which Zambia had been involved in delivering that country to freedom. So was South Africa. So was the Battle of Kutokuna Valley, which nobody talks about. That is what led to Namibian independence. Okay? So I came back to Zambia. I said, I've done so much for the rest of the world. What about my Zambia? And the first thing I did, controversial as it was to say, we are going to begin a human rights movement. A movement which is going to push the frontiers to a point where your right becomes a key that you use to open every door of opportunity. We did that, and at some point, strangely though, we had a situation where now we were kind of like perceived as an opposition by government. I said, no, you have got it wrong. To be in government does not equal abusing citizens.
Which regime was that?
That was the Chiruba regime. Okay? And I took issue with lots of things which he did. And strangely, when Chiruba was no longer president, I had an audience with him. I said, sir, go for your medication. He said, that's why you came to see me. I said, yes. Then he said, you are a true nationalist. I was misled. That's what he said. So I am saying to you, for me, I don't put a name and then issue. I focus on the issue of human rights, issues of equity, issues of justice, issues of fairness. And for your information, I was nicely proud to notice that ZNBC, for instance, ran a series of quizzes around me. And I was also nicely surprised by the Examinations Council of Zambia, which allowed questions on me to come through, and people were examined on who I am. And I was nicely surprised and felt good to be able to give awards to deserving students at St. Mary's and many other places. In Namibia, we had a roving workshop I ran a regional program of human rights networks. And that was really successful. And as you might have known, you are in the media. I spent so much time. For instance, some of the people we are talking, there was a time when the Chiruba regime decided to deport Kaunda to Malawi, Kenneth Kaunda. I found that very absurd. The determination of one's, location in life is economic interest. Now, for God's sake, Kaunda was a Zambian president between 64 and 91. So at what point do you say that he was a citizen? And going forward again, if you checked the judgment in the case involving Kaunda, the Supreme Court ruled very favorable. They said, look, anybody who was in Zambia on 24th, October 1964, became a Zambian citizen. Okay? So one of the things which I also did was some of the guys who were taken to Malawi, one of them, Mr. Banda, I got my machinery active to ensure that we brought him back. And he's back. He is back. And I'm very happy to that. Then there's a gentleman I bumped into Rwanda, out of Rwanda. And he was charged with the capital offense of death. That time it was two on our books. And they said he was involved in a zero option, some scheme to overthrow government. But look, I had met that man in East Africa. And I said, doesn't make any sense. So we launched an international campaign. Okay? And I'm happy to say that that measure was finally released. And I'm happy I can indicate to you that we played some important roles on various individuals who were arrested. And so I did say to one of my colleagues who was in trouble, he is now late. I said, the route you have taken, my brother, is going to take you in trouble because you are going at a variance with the law. And for me, my position has been that when an election is held, for instance, we are going for elections in 2026, this year, in August, the players must commit to a free and fair election. The players must commit, which is what democracy says. They must commit to accept the results of the election. The players must not engage in disrupt activities which disrupt Zambian society. So basically, I think that's how I would wrap what I've been doing. I have engaged in major human rights things in Zambia. And just to wrap it all, on the 50th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in Paris, I was one of the people who were honored along the lines of people like Angela Davis, the civil rights activist in America, and many others. The lady, the grandchild of the people who pushed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So I was given a deputy, one of the French MPs, to be looking after my affairs. I politely found the reason not to agree with that. Because my affairs are not looked after by anybody else, but by God. Yeah.
Incredible. All right. You've highlighted so many issues. You have a rich history of standing in for justice, human rights, and equity, not just in Zambia, but beyond Zambia.
Yes.
Of course, let's bring in this particular issue that has kept this country grappling for quite a while now. Since last year, 2025, on 5th June, this country lost its former leader, former President Edgar Lungu. And we're still grappling with this issue. And you pride yourself as one who stands for justice, human rights, and equity. How far and how much have you tried to engage yourself in this particular matter, just to see to it that there is this matter comes to a close or a conclusion?
Right. From a rights point of view, governance point of view, justice point of view, equity point of view, the point of departure is what the law says. That's the point of departure. Remember, Zambia is governed by the rule of law. So what does our law say? Emotions have no part in any democratic dispensation. Related to that, you will notice that there's things been flying around that there was some kind of convention. And I got a call from the media. I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to disappoint you. I don't deal with shadow boxing. The law is clear. If something is illegal, it's void ab initio, like it didn't exist. So I can't comment on illegalities. So you go back to the issue of President Lungu. He died. The normal thing to have happened was whoever was next to him who witnessed that incident to inform authorities. Okay? Now, when you refuse to do that, you engage in lawlessness. And I will tell you, you cannot talk about human rights in an atmosphere of chaos. And there are many examples. You may wish to know that one of the things which we did a study in 48 African countries to establish the relationship between legal rights and human rights and the context within which these things are enjoyed. And the researchers, prominent ones, highly respected scholars, okay, one of them was actually boss of Africa or the Human Rights Watch, and other professors came to the conclusion that for you to enjoy your rights, you must be orderly. You must respect the rule of law. So come back. Why did the people who were next to President Lungu not inform the authorities? That's a very important question. Because then the authorities have a duty. You may wish to know that within the Zambian Foreign Affairs budget, there is a budget line which deals with disputes. Okay? If you are in trouble, whatever, the government will find a way of bringing you back. So the question is, was President Lungu a Zambian or not? If he was a Zambian, then the logical things should have been kicked up. But what has happened is that emotions have taken over. And the emotions and the reason are not bedfellows. Once emotions are high up, then you can be rest assured that the reason gets sacrificed. So in this case, I don't see any crisis. I would have seen one if the Zambian government was non-existent. But the government is existent. The fact that you and me are talking together now means that we are enjoying some kind of order. So the question is, if the government was not informed, or if they were informed, what have they done? And where are their issues? You cannot have issues where there is no need for issues. So from that point of view, answering your question, I've refrained from getting so deeply involved because the matter defies logic. It defies the rule of law. It offends tenets of civility. Okay? Yes, you can't say there is no relationship between democracy as a concept and your emotional state. Because if you go to vote and you are emotionally charged, certainly you will not make a rational decision. Then you ask a question, why is the economy in trouble? Can you find a way? Why is the media not talking about the $14.5 billion, which was, transacted?
What is it that should be done when the law is in defiance? Probably a certain group does not recognize law. They don't want to go the route of the law. And of course, with your history of probably standing in for justice, standing in for the people that I need, what more can you do away from the law?
Very important question. Once you don't recognize the law, it means you have become a rebel. You have rebelled against your government. And when you rebel, say so that you have rebelled and you are taking the route of rebellion. Then appropriate responses will come your way. Those who want to support, illegalities, they will support illegalities. Those who want to support the law, they will support the law. So at the end of the day, there is no issue. Because I've asked a question which probably you are familiar. I was involved in human rights work, globally. There was a time when we had to leave certain jurisdictions because we were told, look, this is going to be dangerous. Okay? Now, the danger came out of illegitimate arrangements. For instance, South Africa then had a government. It was a legal government, but it was illegitimate. So anybody suggesting that there is a parallel between what's happening to your question and here, then they have stopped thinking. They have stopped thinking because everybody is talking about, getting involved in the election. Why? Because they know there is a government. So where is the confusion? The confusion arises out of the fact that we are, I would say, I think we've gotten to a point where we are abusing our democratic rights to expression in particular.
We are discussing Zambia's integrity beyond 2026.
Right.
Let's define integrity in governance. When we say Zambia's integrity beyond 2026, what exactly are we talking about?
For everybody to be on board, I think let's define integrity in the context of you and me or anybody doing something correctly when nobody is looking. For instance, you are in a place where there is so much opportunities for doing wrong, but you say to yourself, I will not do wrong because I'm not here to do wrong. And I'll give you a personal example. I went in a room at one point. Okay, I was signing traveler's checks that time, and there was billions of dollars around me. Okay, I would have said, look, let me defeat poverty permanently. Let me get something, but that's not me. Okay, that's not me. Look, I was a signal to huge monies.
That should have been me.
But for me, I do think that you have a purpose. Our calling that time was very clear. South Africa should be free. Namibia, all these other countries. Therefore, if you began doing wrong things, then you will lose out on the purpose that you are there. Remember, countries which were friendly put monies together. Now it becomes extremely problematic for do wrong things. And that's why I'm insisting, and I insist, that we have no reason as a people, as Zambians, not to discuss the 14.5 billion debt which we accrued. We must be able to say, we got this debt, this is what we did. It's very simple. Debt is not an offense, no? No offense. But you must be able to say, this debt we did X, Y, Z. Matter closed. Yeah.
So, as we approach the 2026 general elections, Zambia has experienced a range of social, political, and economic developments, from rising youth engagements to economic pressures, public debates on governance, and shifting political narratives. What do these events tell us about the state of our democracy today?
Firstly, one of the things which we should answer as a people is this question: what do Zambians want? Do we want order, or do we want to be a nation which is saying, look, I'm going to go to the UK, I'm going to go to Sweden, I'm going to go to whatever country, because there I can enjoy my peace? Why don't we make Zambia a place where I should look forward to go to? It's as simple as that. Zambians must make a decision that we inform you who should be in government, who should you have as a councillor. You aren't going to have a drunkard as a councillor. Okay, that's all they do, just to drink beer. Because then you will not be able to deal with the civic issues. Same thing with the MP. Same thing with your council chairperson or mayor. It's the same thing with your president. You are not going to elect a president who is a chakoro. Where do you think you will go? As a people, as a country. You are not going to elect a president who is so irresponsible. I am not saying that somebody who is a drunkard cannot be a president. I am saying, can we have a measure? Who do we want to be a president? Do we want a president who will follow the template that Zambians have agreed upon? So yes, I hear your question. We want to go somewhere. But it's like we don't want to go somewhere. How would you explain a member of parliament passing legislation, laws, but running away from the same laws? But we have Zambians who are saying, no, it's okay. How do you explain somebody being arraigned in court? They defend themselves. Adequate defense. They go around and say that, no, we are being persecuted. That, for me, defies logic and reason. You must be able to say, look, I am being persecuted because of X, Y, Z. But you can't simply say, why the same people?
That's the question
That
again.
defies logic. That defies logic, because if you decide, like I'm seeing you are seeing me, if something goes wrong in this room, it is me and you who will be the first to be dealt with. But if you can explain, then it will be okay. So that speaks to something very serious. Are we looking at a situation where there is some kind of abuse? And are we looking at some responses which may not be proportional, okay, to the challenges? So at the end of the day, the answer of where we want to go as a people answers so many things. When you look at the common law, we took the common law the way it is from Britain, from England. Now let me say this to you as a bit provocative. England is a kingdom, the UK, isn't it? In a kingdom, you know who's the boss. The king is above the law, technically. That's what I'm saying. But it's done in such a way that it doesn't give that impression. And at the end of the day, that is what the English have said about what they want. They went out, collected laws from the entire, jurisdiction, and came up with what they considered common all over. So why are Zambians not willing to come up with something which they agree that, for instance, if you steal my brother, this will be the punishment? Then there will be no issues. So it means we won't agree on that. It means some people think theft is correct. But theft is not right. You steal from yourself if you want. But stealing from the public, the law will move. That's why it is. So if we don't want the law to move, we must be brave enough and say, look, let's begin to ask, do we need this law? Well, some of us want to steal. Now, as long as we have a law which says you should steal, you will be arrested. We have crisis. There are some countries, and I don't agree with that. There are some countries which have a penalty if you are found corrupt. They will kill you. I don't agree with that myself. But people have agreed. That's what they want to do. So can we agree for once that if we borrow money, for instance, we'll use it on X, Y, Z through our parliament? Okay? If you do X, Y, Z, if you decide to be littering anyhow carelessly, there will be the sanctions. So let's get to agree so that we don't have a situation where somebody is saying, no, this guy is being unfair to me. Then also, let's safeguard our political space. Because what I've noticed is over time is that there are people who do wrong and then they venture in politics. Because politics offers an inspiration for wrongdoers. But it can only happen here. Elsewhere, it doesn't matter whether you are running for office at any one point in time. If you do wrong, for instance, you refuse to pay your taxes, the law will visit you. So let's get to a point where we do not allow wrongdoers to go in politics. And let's also insulate ourselves against people who may not understand us. And by that, I mean the international community. The international community must get the cue from us. What do we want? What are our standards? If our standards have been broken by anybody, we must stick to observing those standards. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about issues of politics, mainstream politics, political narrative. Other stakeholders listening to you right now, they are disputing the fact that obviously we're speaking to issues of democracy flourishing, referring to some of the events that have taken place when it comes to the shrinking civic space, probably because of the pattern in which certain national issues are being handled, especially to those that are of against to the authority. Do you think the civic space is leveled for politicians right now in the country, heading into 2026 general elections?
My take has been that from 1991 in Zambia, the civic space has been reasonably level. But what we've had happening is issues of irresponsibility. You will not run away from talking about some MP who ran away. The question is very simple. Why did he run away? You go in a confinement, you are confined.
Probably
legally.
thought justice was not on his side.
Okay, fine. Okay, but look, here you are looking at somebody who has stood trial. And I say, look, I don't know what you're trying me for. So in my view, there is sufficient evidence of people who have been tried here in Zambia, both people in government and people in opposition who have been acquitted by the laws. Okay? So if you think that, yes, you may not be treated fairly, there must be a reason why you think that way. Then the international machinery must get involved to find a solution. So there, this is where you find that international law has got problems as well. Because you hide a person, okay, from justice at a very high cost. At a very high cost. And those who are able will find solutions to it. Okay, some of us and many others may not be able to do those things. So my advice would be that obviously people look at things differently, but let's get to the point of agreeing. What do we want? Because when we agree on that, we will not disagree. Because we would have agreed. So, for instance, we say, okay, let's take about the health sector, which has been in trouble. If we agree, all of us, that stealing medicine is wrong, I see no point at where, if I steal or you steal, you should be defending me. Because we have agreed that, look, this is wrong. So let somebody be honest and come up and say, look, the democratic space is shrinking in this manner. So I'm left asking, how is it shrinking? Because I will tell you, at one point, it was almost impossible for you and me to be talking the way we are talking. And not too long ago, which is, I personally condemned it, I didn't agree with it. You had a situation where you are talking the way we are talking, people come in and to come and stop the broadcast. What does that mean? So what are we talking about? Do we really know what we are talking about? My brother, I will say this to you. It does not mean that you should speak loudly. You have access to the media. Therefore, you are right. No, it doesn't mean that way. For instance, I'm still in awe. I can't still believe it. Why some media houses ran with covering an illegality. Okay? Because that raises ethical issues. but I'm aware about the dynamics around, public dynamics. But at the end of the day, I stick to what we've been saying. If somebody thinks the space is shrinking, let them make a case. Let them not wimp emotions. No, make a case why you think that the space is shrinking. From where I stand, I have a good knowledge of how that is done, how you monitor procedures. Now, let them make a case because I'm talking about what I've been through and what others have been through. There is no way I'm going to visit somebody whose rights hinge on them being accountable. First, unless they tell me they will be accountable, then you can deal with other things. Because remember, there's a divide between their thieving activities and their humanity as a person. The humanity as a person will protect. The thieving activities, the law must take its focus. So now that's where you find that the line of separation becomes quite thin. But it must be managed, and it can be managed.
I love the fact that I'm talking to a human rights champion and democracy specialist, human rights defender, who has served in different regimes, different governments, and obviously looking at the pattern, this is always the pattern. Those in opposition would complain of being victimized, not just looking at this government, previous governments as well. Why has the situation been like this to today? Because it's only those that of the other side of government that seem to feel that they are victimized.
You had a very interesting scenario at one time when I was heading Afronet. I see this pack of first two lawyers coming to me, say, look, we're going to be arrested. I said, for what? Then they tell me about the defense of this businessman. I said, but you're just doing your work. Okay? But unfortunately, that man duped us. We defended him, but when he went to England, he went forever. Didn't come back. So if we were conmen, we'd have been in trouble with the law. So what the law did was to recognize that we were helping the man genuinely. And when he came back, I didn't lose the opportunity to tell him, but my brother, what we did was wrong. Then the other time, I had former ministers coming to the office and claiming that their rights are being threatened. I said, okay, I will help you as human beings. We helped them. But I don't agree with your message. Their message was to catch a thief, you must use a thief. I said, no, you are corrupting society. Okay? But we helped their humanity. But we didn't buy into their arrangement. No, we helped their... So, yes, it is possible to look at something very objectively and say, yes, there is an issue here, and let's deal with it in this manner. And you must be able to say, my brother, I will help you, but I don't believe in what you are doing. You help the people, but it becomes a problem when you help somebody, but they are hell-bent on doing the same things. For instance, you are arrested, okay? You are in the cells. But unknown to me, you are busy communicating with somebody that when I come out, let's do X, Y, Z. I'll give you a real example. When a rally was cancelled, almost, a rally of the union was cancelled, almost cancelled. I went to see the vice president. Then I said, what is the trouble? I said, okay, I will personally ensure that what your fears don't come to pass. And when the guys went to Parliament, something very strange happened. I saw a vehicle coming through which had opposition leaders in the back. I said, no, guys, what did we agree? We agreed we would not turn this into a political arrangement. And I put my foot down. The vehicle drove off. So I think what we need to do is, I am not for the idea of reinventing the wheel. You cannot corrupt the human rights movement. That's what has happened. You have a situation where sometimes, and I think I blame this on many players, because there was a time when we were talking about let's ensure that we induce some professional engagement in NGOs. And I said, and I'm happy I said this, as you do that, be mindful of the fact that this is also a passion. Somebody must believe in it. Otherwise, you're going to have a situation where you are using it as a training ground for many other things. And I am constrained to comment further. All I will say to you is that the notion that the civic space is narrowing needs more interrogation.
In your line of duty, have you ever been in a situation where you felt those that have been in government and out of government are being victimized? Not just in this particular government, but even in previous government.
Yes, we have seen that and we have stood along those. But we've been quick to say our involvement only ends at this point. Now, I have seen a situation where somebody is engaged in human rights work, civic work. But before they know it, they gravitate into that arrangement. That becomes a problem. You must be clear that you are doing what you are doing, not because you want to transit into it, the political arena. I will tell you, when we were involved in South Africa with the ANC, we say to our friends who were very, very loud and very engaged, so those guys who want to be deep in the politics, let them go into politics. So that you see we can remain with the people who are not that partisan in the way they look at things. So you have a scenario, a situation which makes us look at everything from political eyes. For instance, it's common knowledge. Things are hard. People will tell you, no, the economy is hard. But I am saying, how can it not be hard? How can it not be hard if we have not been investing in social sector for 30 years? I don't think there's a crime in that statement. You can go to the Ministry of Finance, you can verify how some universities which were built, $33 million, you can't trace it. And somebody try to justify it. No, theft is theft, brother. You are not going to find any explanation for theft. Why am I saying this? We need to be cautious and careful of what we do with public resources. Okay? Which is why prisons have a component of reformation. People are taken in there with a view for them to reform. And I'm happy to say some have reformed, doing very good things. So prison is not just arresting somebody. No. You confine somebody, then punish or beat them. Hope that they come out better. In other jurisdictions, some people come up with their PhDs. And they are able to deliver good lectures. So let's look at both sides. It's not about punishment, it's about
Reforming.
That's right.
Absolutely. All right, if you've just joined us, this is the Platform Radio program, and I'm playing host to Mr. Ngande Mwanajiti. He is a human rights champion and democracy specialist. This morning, we are looking at Zambia's integrity beyond the 2026 elections. We are looking at some of the events that have characterized social, political, and economic activities. And what does democracy look like beyond the August 2026 general elections? What happens after ballots are cast? What defines a nation's integrity in the years beyond elections? And what does democracy truly look like beyond August 2026 elections? In all this, we are just trying to unpack the issues shaping our nation today, and of course, defining our future or tomorrow. We continue with our conversation. Let's continue with the issues of social and political tensions. Let's talk about tensions. We have seen political polarization, online debates, and at times mistrust. Are these signs of democratic growth or warning signals? Especially that we are getting into an election.
Right. I think you raise a very pertinent question because people are posturing. People are angry. You ask them, okay, you are angry about what they can't tell you. Okay? And some will even say, you are talking the way you are talking because you have been paid. Paid by who? Let's move away from making assumptions. Because I'll tell you, one thing you can't hide money. You can't. You can hide it, but it's somewhere it will show. And the point is, we must be clear. I come back to the issue which I raised. We must agree, what do we want? I was listening to Amundibe at that time, and interestingly, he was talking about agriculture. We need to invest in agriculture. Now, you weigh the same statement. Yesterday, the president was talking about agriculture. Okay? So what Amundibe is proposing to do is being done. From the two clips I listened to. And hence, when Costa asked the question, said, but what do you hope to do differently? The other people will quickly jump and say he has been bought. Bought by who? What you are trying to do is just following common sense. You are saying, my brother, you were driving that vehicle. What happened? The man should answer. Because you are driving the vehicle. It's a fact. It's a factual question. So at the end of the day, what is causing the tensions. The tensions are simmering, but what's causing the tensions? Is it statements? For instance, personally, I'm saddened to note that there is lots of challenges in the opposition political parties. That doesn't speak well for our democracy. It means that when a political party goes in government, it begins to feast on government. And one of the things which you have heard, I hope you have heard it, there's been some people in UPND accusing the current president that he is abandoning the party. I don't agree with that. The point is there must be a separation between the party and the government. The party must be able to fend for itself and stand by it, what it stands for. And the government must continue. The day you pull out politics from government operations, my brother who run a good country, that I can tell you. And that's been my prayer. My prayer has been, can we reduce the political engagements around government? Because like, you can't, for instance, let's take an example. You can't say, I'm going to campaign, and because I'm in the ruling party, I'll access government money. No. What about the people who are not in any political parties? And that's been my argument about inclusion. I have said, yes, there is a challenge over delimitation. There are more constituencies, there is a cost involved. But I've argued that governance or democracy is about people. You cannot come to a conclusion that Zambia is the line of rail. Doesn't make any sense. Zambia is beyond the line of rail. It's the 752,000 square kilometers plus. And the participants, residents of Zambia, must have a say in where the country is going and how it's going. It's not the loudest who must have a share. It is rationality which must take center stage. How rational are we towards our fellow human beings? I would like to believe that human beings who are in the far-flung areas, they are Zambians as me and you. So we have to find a way of ensuring that their engagement, remember they pay their taxes, they vote. So are you saying that their citizenship should not just be reduced to voting and paying taxes? No, we must go beyond that. We are hearing about free education. Now, education has got nothing to do with any political party. Education is an essential building block for anybody. Any political party coming to government must pride itself with involving itself in education. Now, when you take away, it means you are collapsing society. It's as simple as that. All societies which have gone far, people talk about, I'm going to China. The Chinese have invested massively in their education. Their skill base is very, very strong. So why are you quarreling with education? Yes, there will be plenty of things which will not work well. The question is, do we have the capacity to fix what we must fix? Yes, we do. So why can't we do it? So if we are saying that the economy is hard, okay, we go to the same supermarkets, same markets, and you even find a scenario. I was talking with somebody. I said, you know what? You keep complaining that the prices are high, but you are busy pushing the prices up. You buy, like, when I go to Kashue, well, that's why I have my farm. The guys come to Lusaka to come and do the orders for hardware stuff, right? They buy something here for 500 kwacha. They take to Kashue is 1.2, 1,200 kwacha. So who is pushing the prices up? So I think we need to get to a point where, as I said, what do we want? We want to industrialize. How are we doing it? Because talking is good. It's very good. And we must continue talking. But we must also do. Talk and do. Talk and do. Not just talk. Talk and get things done. And here I've been talking. My talking has had good results. South Africa, good example. Zimbabwe, good example. Okay? I was part and parcel of the process, the bigger process. I can even point out, look, that minister, we helped him in this manner. So let's be concrete about things we want to do. I have no issue with borrowing 14 billion. You can borrow 14 billion, but show us what you are doing with it. It's as simple. Eurobond, it's a good thing, but show us what you are doing with it. Don't say that it was going to personal accounts. That becomes a problem. But that is clear theft. If that is evidenced, the law must roll. And there must be nobody who says no, but this one is big victimized. The question is it true? If it's true, make peace with the truth. That would be my advice. If it's true, you make peace with what is true. So really at the end of the day, we have a country, and this country by itself will only move forward if the citizens decide to get it to move forward.
I asked the question of political polarization, online debates, and at times, of course, mistrust. And, of course, asking a question whether these are signs of democratic growth or warning signals. Going into the elections soon, in a couple of months to come, let's talk about issues of mistrust. Stakeholders have raised concerns with some of the changes that are coming with this particular election, in as far as ECZ is concerned. They're talking about the removal of dead stamps, this and that. Do you think these are warning signals as we go into the 2026 general elections? Yes, a few days ago, the president was speaking to the UN agencies at State House, and he assured the agencies and the country at large that this election is going to be a free and fair election. But with regards to some of the concerns that these stakeholders are raising with regards to what is happening at ECZ, their death stamp being removed this time around, something that has always been there. And this time around, they're saying it's not going to be part of the ballot papers. Is this a sign of warning signals as we head into the 2026 general elections?
Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Again, one of the things that we must do is to engage, to talk, to discuss. Why are you removing this? Okay, rather than speculate, get down and say, we understand you have removed this. Why are you removing it? Because we want it. And if it doesn't cost anything, we keep it. But remember, like for instance, one of the things which we campaigned very hard, I realized, okay, we can't do it as NGOs. That's the code of conduct. We lobbied the Electoral Commission of Zambia. We lobbied Judge Warrior then, was the chairperson, and he agreed to take it in Parliament, where it came out as part of the laws. So the code of conduct is law. So I see nothing wrong with the stakeholders lobbying ECZ, part of the challenge which we have. Remember at one time we had opaque ballot boxes, those metal things. We campaigned very hard for them to be replaced with transparent ones. Then at one time, elections were held with monitors. We campaigned very hard to help people to observe the entire process. So for me, I think sometimes I tend to think that we tend to contaminate the playing field. There was a political party when Nikuv came on scene, which claimed that if you voted for UNIP, the ballot paper would change inside and reflect MMD. So he said, okay, fine, just give us one ballot paper.
I also remember in when we were voting, was it during the time when Rupiah Banda left?
Right.
That's it. People had to go with their ball pens.
Yes.
That
Some people are saying that if you use that
it can
pen,
be rubbed. Yes, can be rubbed off. Yes.
So, personally, I do think that we need to get to a point where we manage ourselves. We cannot use a system which will contaminate. In other words, we cannot allow suspicion.
From your own view, on your own point of view, do you see this as a problem, as a challenge, as a mistrust as we go into an election?
Mistrust can be very much of a problem. The cure to mistrust is information. When you go there and verify that, look, for instance, if the issue on the stamp is about saving time, okay, then you will be able to understand. If there is no explanation, then there is a bigger problem. Because there ought to be an explanation why this has happened. So mistrust anywhere, whether it's in the home, whatever.
This issue has been in the public discourse. You as a human rights defender, Are you engaging policymakers and other stakeholders in this particular issue? I'm sure you are aware of this particular issue.
I'm aware of the discussions around
Yes.
it.
Have you
And
tried to
if
engage
I
further?
need to, I've had no need to do that.
Mhm.
But if I need to, if there was reason to do that, I would engage. I would look
Do you
at,
think there is no reason for you to engage in such a matter?
in such, I can, at a civic level, as a citizen,
Mhm.
I could say, look, this issue has been raised. Maybe from what you've just said, from what you're asking, maybe actually I can give a call. This is it. Find time, go there. They explain. They explain, and I think let me pick it. Let me raise issues with it,
Great.
and let me raise issues with it.
All right.
It's a stamp, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's connect democracy with economic realities. Many Zambians or citizens measure governance through jobs, cost of living, and opportunities. How does economic pressure affect democratic integrity?
It affects it in a big way,
Mhm.
and this is why I keep saying we must explain. We must, as a people, explain. Don't point fingers. But we must explain the 30-year period of non-investment in sectors like education, because education is key. Why is it key? When people are informed, they are not gullible. They will be able to tell you that yes, this makes sense, this doesn't make any sense. But what we have done is to invest in that area. So now we have a scenario, a situation where anything which is said by a political actor, it goes as a truth, when maybe it's very, very far from it. So I hear you very, very well, and I think one of the things which we need to do is to step up our engagement, our civic responsibility. It is a matter for all citizens to take up and say, look, we have concerns around X, Y, Z. And let me say this. As you do this, bear in mind that there is need for you to know what you're talking about. It's very important. I remember in the election of 1996, if you recall, international observers boycotted monitoring the Zambian election. And we stepped in. We stepped in. I led a team of NGOs, 19 in number, and we did a wonderful job. Okay, and so it is possible that when you are in the know, you can engage better. You can engage better and come up with better results. Yeah.
As we try and bring in the cause, let's talk about or define a nation's integrity in years beyond election. Really, what does democracy truly look like beyond an election? As we are going to an election and after August 2026, what does democracy truly look like?
After August 2026, we'll get to have a new president, or the current continues. Okay? And then we begin to see the color of Zambian democracy. Because either we'll gain as a country or we'll regress as a country, because I'm not talking about something which has not happened. For instance, you know that Zambian, and I was very active, Zambian debt was written off. It was written off completely. And I got involved in that campaign. It succeeded. I remember traveling with the UNDP to New York.
Referring to the epic completion?
After the epic completion, the debt was basically substituted for the epic completion point. And if you notice, the economy gained, and we went backwards. So the issue is that we have reversed before. And the challenge is, are we able to maintain the momentum of growth? That's what the international community also wants. That's what Zambians want. You want growth. You cannot underline, you can't share poverty. It's an impossibility. You can't share poverty, but you can share wealth. So you must create wealth.
Great.
Yeah.
If you have just joined us, this is the Platform Radio program, and I'm playing host to Mr. Ngande Mwanajiti. He is a human rights champion and democracy specialist. This morning, we are discussing Zambia's integrity beyond 2026 general elections. We have looked at some of the events that has characterized social, political, and economic activities, and what really does democracy look like. beyond the August 2026 general elections. So we've asked question, what happens after the ballots are cast? What defines a nation's integrity in the years beyond elections? And what does democracy look like beyond August 2026? In all this, we've just tried to unpack the issues shaping our nation, our Zambia today, and obviously the future, which is tomorrow, right? Absolutely. And of course, the lines are officially open for your questions and contributions on the program with regards the issues, the matters that we've discussed. Call us by dialing the following numbers: 0977 165 743, 0977 165 743, and 0953 323 738, 0953 323 738. And as indicated earlier on, the 097 number is also on WhatsApp. You can as well drop us a WhatsApp message, but still a voice note just in case you are finding it difficult to call via the dialect line. Ensure to keep your voice notes under a minute. That is if you decide to give us a voice note. Anything above that may not be played. Remember to indicate your name and the location you are calling from, and I urge you to be civil in your language as you make your contribution on the program.
The views and opinions expressed are of the callers and listeners and not Joyfm Radio.
All right. Just before we try and bring in a call, I have a text message which says, "Morning by Human Rights. Kindly ensure that people killed that people killed the woman in Kalumbila go for good. Even that girl, no mercy. It's not the Zambia known. I am enjoying your platform." No name there. Thank you so much for that particular text message. But you can as well give us that particular call on 0977 165 743, 0977 165 743, and 0953 323 738. Okay. We lost that call. Try and call us back if you can. 0977 165 743, 0977 165 743, and 0953 323 738. All right. As we wait for that particular call, let's try and see if we can bring in this particular one here. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm right, thank you. Mr. Nandemwananjiti, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Your name, where are you calling from, sir?
My name is Alvet, calling from within Lusaka.
Your name again?
Alvet, as in ALVERT. I'm calling from within Lusaka.
Okay, Alvet, please go ahead and give us your contribution or question.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Mm-hmm. I've known Mr. Nandemwananjiti since childhood. He's a person when I was starring as Lusaka Central Member of Parliament. I called him to visit me and to visit a group of youths in Lusaka Central. He humbled himself. He came. He's a man who has been fighting for human rights in this country. Mm-hmm. A man who should be respected. Mm-hmm. A man who knows what he wants. Therefore, for me, I encourage him to continue standing on the right, standing on what is true, so that this country can have better human rights. Mm-hmm. About the issues of the killing of the woman in Northwestern Province, I think Mr. Nandemwananjiti, as I know him, is going to push for the better of the family so that those people who did that crime should be brought to book. So I'm really honored to talk to you through a radio program. It has been long. I humble myself. I submit. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Albert, for that particular call. All right, you too can give us a call on 0977 165 743, 0977 165 743, and 0977 0953 323 738. Those are the numbers that you should be able to call us and give us your contribution or question to our guest this morning. Let's try and bring in this particular one here. Hello, good morning. You're through to the Platform Radio program. Oh, we lost you. Try and call us back if you can. 0977 165 743, 0977 165 743, and 0953 We seem to have a challenge with network. The lines are dropping, but keep trying. You might just get a chance to speak to us this morning. Let me allow you to respond to Alvet and the text message that came early on with regards the brutal murder of that particular woman in Solwezi, Kalumbila district, in Kalumbila district rather. Yes. I don't know what is happening. Respond to those.
Okay, Sriatam, I think what the text says, basically the best way of describing the situation in Karumbira, it was barbaric. And then the law takes its full course.
Just what are your thoughts? Hello, good morning. You're through to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, Mananjiti. Good morning, my presenter there.
Good morning. Thank you. Your name?
Yes, you are talking to the golden voice of Lusaka.
Yes, please.
Yes, I want to talk about, the woman killed, in Karumbira. As for me, I also want to urge the police to investigate thoroughly and find out what happened, because there's a claim that woman rushed into the palace, the palace to that chief, and that chief, it is heard that she chased the woman. So we are really appealing to the police to investigate, because there's no way the chief can chase the woman who was in danger. Because there are those, videos circulating, and also even on Prime TV, we saw that the people were right at the front of the gate, waiting for that woman who rushed into that palace. So she was chased. Or let the police investigate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gordon Voice. We appreciate your call. Let's try bringing another call. Hello, good morning. You're through to Joy.
Hello.
You're through to the platform radio program. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Green from Livingston.
Your name again?
I'm Green from Livingston.
Green from Livingston. Please go ahead and give us your question or contribution.
I'm in the program.
All right.
This is a very nice program. I think I would suggest that Mr. Mwananjiti could open an institute for that. Because we learn a lot. I would be one of the first to join. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Green. Okay. Okay. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program. All right, we lost you. Try and call us back if you can. Keep trying. 0977-165-743 and 0953-323-738. Maybe you can respond to... I cut you short, but you can continue from where you left and respond to Gordon Voice as well as Green from Livingston.
Well, clearly there's a consensus building.
Yes.
There's basically anger among the public. That was barbaric.
Yes.
And clearly it gives the police no choice but to ensure that the truth is unraveled and the right thing is done. So at the end of the day, I think let's wait for the police, and the police must be mindful of that, the fact that people are angry. They need a response. They need just to be seen to have taken place. So really, I think that's what I could say.
All right. We didn't discuss this matter on the program, but of course it has been brought up by callers. And looking at, I'm talking to you as a human rights activist, a human rights defender, human rights champion, rights champion. You looking at most of the people that are involved in that injustice are the young people, the juveniles, and you understand the law in Zambia has some kind of leniency on juveniles when it comes to arrests and probably prosecuting them. What is your message probably to government and obviously those that may be listening to this particular show program with regards to this issue?
Yeah, the age of a child who can be held criminally liable is about 9 somewhere there. So even parents have a duty to ensure that their children don't find themselves in trouble with the law. But having said that, we are seeing a pattern evolving. And this is what kicks in law reform. You must know, and I'm proud to say that.
Just what your thoughts. We try and bring in this call. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Kamandi, calling in Sada.
Kamwandi,
Yeah, calling in Sada.
please go ahead and give us your question or contribution, Kamwandi.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Mananchit. And I thank God that we still have wise people in Zambia who can talk sense. Really. They say these politicians, they say no, they are targeting one region. But when they are in power, they are appointing one region. When they leave power, they have messed up the economy. Then they start targeting them, bring them to court. They complain that no, they are targeting one region. But when they are being appointed, they don't talk. That's why are you appointing one region? So the issue of no, they are targeting one region is not true. Because they are targeting those who have stolen. People have stolen, they have to appear before the law of the land. Then coming again to human rights, I don't know if Brother Mananchit can put up a college because we have seen people just coming up on my human rights activities, human rights what. They don't have even qualification. They're just politicians in opposition. They claim to be human rights. I'm saying, my brother, he put up a university or a college so that those who claim to be human rights should go to training, should be trained. So that when they're on the platform, they should talk like our brother Mananchi. Thank you very much.
We appreciate your call, Kamwandi. All right. You were responding to the issue of arrests of juvenile and children. Continue on that particular one, then you'll also respond to Kamwandi
Right.
about targeting a certain section of society. And obviously, they call for you to open a university and a college.
Yeah, I was going to say to you that it's important for parents to accept the fact that they have a duty of care towards their children, and bring them up in such a way that they don't find themselves in trouble. But then I was saying that it appears that the matter opens the country up to the need for law reform. Because there are many challenges and concerns. And I was at the point of saying that I'm actually very happy to indicate to you and the listeners out there that the current director of the law reform was our legal officer at Afronet. So I have lots of faith in her and her abilities. So you are in safe hands. The matter is mature for law reform. So law reform basically means that if there is an aspect of a particular legislation we're not comfortable with, let's get to the ground and reform that piece of law. Because remember, the courts, they interpret the law as Parliament has made it. Or sometimes you find somebody crying that no, but the person killed, I want to be arrested for 1 year or 2 years. But that's what the law says. And sometimes you must also know that courts work in tandem or in line with social welfare. Because remember, the whole idea, first, you must not be seen to defend wrong things. But the whole idea behind certain maneuvers is to have a better society. So you can't just condemn a particular person and forget about their welfare thereafter. We must know that when they come out, they come in the same society. So it's important that we have a measure or a response which deals with the post scenario. Because we don't want the person to come back in society and become a menace. Remember, now they are free. So we must have a scenario, a situation where one person is arrested, and because they are arrested, then we must have in place measures which lead towards reform. Because if they are a better person, obviously some of the guys who were saved, they are now pastors, okay, so some are reverends, some are employed in useful arrangements, some are running organizations. So it is not entirely true to say that prisons are for punishment. No. And I go back to what my brother just said, talked about. Listen, people who are pursued by law, it's not by your origin. You are pursued because of an offense. So then the question comes, why the same people? As I say to you, if you are employing each other, what do you expect? If you are from one region and employing each other, and the law cracks down, it will follow you. It's as simple as that. There's no magic about it. Look at the first cabinet which you had. Look at the current cabinet. There is no region in Zambia which can say we are not in cabinet. And one of the challenges which we have when you're running a country like Zambia, you must be sensitive to diversity. You must be sensitive and find a modus operandi which accepts the fact that, yes, we are different, but there are certain common areas of interest.
Great.
So the president, at any one point in time, has a duty to ensure that he takes into account all national concerns.
Mr. Mwananjiti, we need to go. What is your message to both leaders and citizens as Zambia approaches the general elections regarding power, responsibility, and democracy?
I think the first two things, the first message to Zambians is, can you open your eyes? Can you move away from being very emotional about things? Look at facts as they were. Look at Zambia where it is now. You will see that Zambia was far ahead of some of the countries in the world where we send our kids to school. But we are now lagging behind. And the reason has been poor leadership. And what it means that is we must ensure that in August, we have a crop of parliamentarians, councillors, president, who will take this country forward and not backwards. We must resist any temptation whatsoever. Leaders must fully embrace the rule of law. They must embrace human rights. They must embrace good governance. They must commit to growing this economy. I thank you.
Mr. Mwananjiti, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Platform Radio program.
Thank you very much.
Great. I've been talking to Mr. Ngande Mwananjiti. He's a human rights champion and democracy specialist. And we were looking at Zambia's integrity beyond 2026 elections. We discussed issues that have characterized social, political, and economic activities, and what does democracy look like beyond the August 2026 general elections. What happens after the ballots are cast, or the ballot is cast? What defines a nation's integrity in the years beyond elections? And what does democracy look like beyond August 2026? In all this, we unpacked the issues shaping our nation today and define Zambia's future. To our listeners, remember, in a democracy, power is not owned, it is entrusted. And the future of Zambia depends not only on who leads, but on how the people hold that leadership accountable. I've been your host. My name is Maidon Kilalo. Join us next week Monday for yet another exciting edition with my colleague, Tommy Samuel Tembo, on this very platform. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay democratic. Wishing you a pleasant day.
The views and opinions expressed are of the callers and listeners and not Joyfm Radio.
The Platform is a program that addresses your political, social, and economic well-being. Broadcast every Monday and Thursdays
at 09:30 hours
on Joyfm Radio. Call or SMS to participate. Remember, the views expressed on the platform are not of the station, but those of either the guests or the participants. Joyfm Radio, for your ears only.